Tyler starts today off in Bedford, Indiana. Hey, Tyler, what's up?
Hey, Dave. Appreciate you having me on. First, I want to say my wife and I love listening to all the shows and really enjoy nerding out here on the EntreLeadership podcast, following you weekly.
Thanks.
So I'll just jump right into it if that's okay.
Sure.
Cool. I work as a benefits advisor for a business consulting firm, and our mission is to provide clear, simple solutions to complex business issues. Typically, that's in the world of employee benefits and the related servicing of those. So my dad started with the firm out of college in the early 90s and was offered partnership in the early 2000s. So I started working here personally in 2017 as an intern. I never looked anywhere else as I developed a passion for the work and the culture our leadership has developed. We've been named the best place to work in Indiana 4 times consecutively.
Wow, good for y'all. Way to go, man.
It's awesome, let me tell you, dude. Anyway, one of my younger brothers did an internship with us out of high school originally, like I did. And he decided it wasn't for him after a few months. He ended up pursuing a completely different path, and unfortunately that hasn't ended up working out either. So now he's going to try and come back and pursue sales at our firm. So my question for you, Dave, is what can I do as a future partner myself at the company in lifting my brother up while also pushing him to grow both personally and professionally?
Are you going to be leading him or making this decision?
So not directly, but he will be an immediate peer to myself on the sales team.
So you've been there all these years. He's going to be walking in and be a peer.
From a title perspective, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And who owns this now?
So my dad is one of the partners, and then there's another family actually who has partnership as well. So there's 3 children of that original founder who have taken over as his successors.
Okay. And your dad does not own controlling interest then?
That's correct.
Okay.
His voting stock, but not a controlling interest.
And how many people work in this place?
We have about 35 employees total.
Okay. All right. I don't think you've got to answer anything as a future partner. I think you're just going to be his comrade. Your brother's going to be working beside you, and you just got to decide what that looks like. And because I don't think you get a say in this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Well, I've had, so my direct report, our COO has included me in the conversations, asked for my input, feedback, things of that nature, but ultimately I have no deciding factor. There's no, black ball, so to speak, that I can say, no, you can't join.
Yeah. Okay. The way you structured the question, the sentence structure, made me think that maybe you think your brother's just hasn't found his thing, so he's just going to try something else. Like he's not really sold out on this like you are. He's just trying to, this is a place he could land, and he figured they'd hire him. He's not real.
Well, I think you're spot on with that. What I'm really trying to figure out is how I can ensure that he's committed for the long haul.
You can't.
And not just, here for a job.
Yeah, you can't. And he is. Your fear is that he's coming in just to collect a check because your dad has influence and you've done a good job, and he's riding that coattail, and he's just going to pop in there and because it wasn't like he sat down and said, what I really want to do with my life is sell benefits. He didn't make it the last 3 things he did, and he's just trying to find a soft place to land is what you're describing. Am I missing something?
I'm not certain on that front. It's just I get a weird feeling that, he's done a lot of maturing over the last few years. He moved out, got his own place, he's got his own bills, and he's saying he wants to make a career move here as opposed to just his next job. So it feels right, but there's just something I'm not sure. There's another question I could ask or how I could phrase that maybe back to him. Like, dude, this might be your only opportunity to not screw it up.
Yeah. I think this is a very, very tough conversation because nobody asked you. He didn't ask you. Your dad didn't ask you. Your COO asked for your input, but I don't know what he expected you to say. Don't hire my brother because he last 3 times he's done stuff he half butt did it. You're not going to say that. So I don't know what he expected you to say. And I don't know how you warn off your little brother and say, hey, man. But I guess the only thing I could think of is it's a cup of coffee away from the office. And you say, hey, coming back in here, if you're wanting to come back in here and you're looking, because this is an easy way out, it's a soft landing, and it's not going to work because this is hard work. And this sales thing, there's a lot of rejection and a lot of problems and a lot of drama. And you're not going to find your way through that unless you are very, very, very committed to this. And, as your brother, it's not going to go well for you. I'm telling you, if you don't come in here with the right thing. And I just want you to know that. And I'm not your boss. I don't have a say in this at all. And I'm not trying to get you to not do it, but just for your sake, I don't want you to think this is going to be like an easy job. It's not. It's hard.
For sure.
I mean, if you want to tell him that, that'd be okay, but I don't think that's going to change anything to you. I think he's still going to do it.
Yeah, I just hope it works out at this point.
You don't have control over that.
And
I know. Neither do I, and for that matter, neither does your
over.
dad. I mean, the people that are interviewing him should be very concerned about this, and they're not.
I feel like they have been, and maybe I just haven't been privy to it all.
Well, maybe they've already pinned his ears to the wall and gotten some straight answers, and they think are believable, and maybe he's going to step up because there's 2 things that we don't do here. Well, I say we don't. Let me try this. We have 2 policies, both which say at Ramsey, almost never do we hire family. So if you work here and your brother wants to come to work here, we almost never do that because it almost never works. Because if you get mad and quit, he quits too. Or we wish he did and we have to fire him. And so because it screws up everything, right? That's why we don't do it. And so we could take an actual really good team member and bring in their sibling or cousin or parent or whatever who doesn't do the job, and then we have to deal with the one that doesn't do the job, and it affects a good team member, and we end up losing both of them. So it's a net loss to us. So we almost never hire family members. So 1 out of 50 times it comes up, we do it. But it has to be everything dialed in, and we've said all this stuff out loud, and we feel like both players are very mature, and there's a high probability of success of both players and those kinds of things. The second thing we almost never do is rehire. I've got 1,100 people on the team. 1 of them is a rehire. 1. For the reasons you left before are the reasons you'll probably leave again, and I ain't got time for that. We want people that are planning to stay. Costs too much to onboard, costs too much to go through the hiring process, and so we don't rehire. Even if you were an immature little intern before and, you took off for all the wrong reasons, that's, I'm sorry. That's just, we very, very seldom do we do a rehire. Now, again, we got one guy, we call, his nickname's Unicorn. I mean, he's got 1 guy out of 1,100 that's a rehire. And I've had a whole bunch of them after the Great Resignation who wandered off to better, greener pastures, and they come back around, man, did I screw up? I sure wish. Well, yeah, wish. No, we don't rehire. So, because the next time there's a dadgum greener pasture, you'll take off again. So this is violating both of those things. So if we were to be talking to your brother at Ramsey and you were a stud sales guy for us, we would be very, very tough. And it would be a very difficult screen that he probably would not get through. But if he did, so much would have been said out loud to you and to him and to your dad that about how this is going to go down if Junior doesn't behave, if Junior doesn't produce, if Junior doesn't work hard, and so on. And so it's just putting everybody in the whole thing in a tough position. And somehow, to your knowledge, your brother doesn't know that or appreciate it. Now, maybe the people doing the interview have done all the things I just talked about, and they've been really, really tough. But we know they haven't talked to you except to say, what was your input? Instead of saying, hey, how's this going to go if he goes sideways? How are you going to feel if we have to release him because he doesn't come to work on time, or he has bad work ethic, or he's incompetent and just doesn't hit his numbers? How are you going to feel, brother? How are you going to feel, dad? How's that going to leave you? And Junior, how are you going to feel if you don't do your stuff on time and you don't make your call sheets and you don't get your dadgum work done? Your closing ratio is awful. You're horrible with your people skills, and it doesn't work out. And we have to let you go, and your brother and your dad still work here. How are you going to feel? And you got to say all that stuff out loud to all the players is your only chance of this working if your leadership team did that. But they haven't done that to you. We don't know what they've said to your dad or your brother. But it's very concerning. It's very concerning. I'm not saying it can't work. I've done it successfully a few times. One that's popping into mind is we hired one of our operating board members' mom, and she came to work here, and she was amazing. She was better than him, and he's one of my best friends. I give him a hard time. I'm like, all we just want is Martha back, Blake. I mean, come on. And so it's just, because Martha was amazing, and she retired from here later, but she worked for us for about 5 years. She was incredible, and she's still an incredible friend. Her and her husband, her son's still on our operating board. It all worked out great, but we had very big talks about all of it, even though we knew the players were very mature and very competent people. So that's what you're dealing with. You just got to be careful out there, folk, if you're going to be doing this. And I've got a friend of mine, he said, I always hire family, because if it's a good person, the other good person will be in the family. And I'm going, well, no, the law of averages is against you on that one. So you may have got the only good one they had. So you need to think this through, and you really need to lay out a screening on it and be very, very careful. I've had more bad experiences on both of those issues than I've had good experiences, rehires and family hires. So that's what we're looking at. But Tyler, as his brother, just love him, pray for him, help him win, be kind to him. But I don't think it's your job to be the screening agent here, because you're not in that position. That would be your dad and the COO. And they're the ones that should set the table on this so everybody can win. This is the EntreLeadership Podcast.